What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, the Soul Proponent. I want to talk today about the need to endure on the path. As most everybody knows, the path to the soul is not a sprint. It's a marathon. It's a long-term race. We need to continue to do the work that it takes on the path, even if we're not getting any results, because there's a tendency to quit, a tendency to give up when we don't see anything happening. And that's the way it's going to be for a long, long time. We have to plant the seeds to allow ourselves to grow and allow ourselves the chance. It takes a tremendous amount of work, a tremendous amount of effort. We have to completely exhaust ourselves, and to endure that exhaustion, it takes us to our limits. When we get to our limits, it's okay to take a break. But we have to know that we're going to continue to endure after the break is up, and we're going to continue to go as hard as possible after we take our break. The endurance is a very important part of the process. We have to continue even though we don't see any results. Sometimes there's a deep hatred because, things aren't happening the way we want them to. And we all carry a wounding inside ourselves, like a narcissistic wound, when things don't work out the way, quote unquote, they're supposed to, according to what we think should happen. And that can be a barrier because we can't let go of the hatred. The hatred seems to be persistent. It seems to dominate us, and it takes over. And instead of enduring, a lot of times we're trying to find ways not to endure. We're trying to find ways to stay off the path, and we can get very creative about this. We'll find ways, any excuse to justify not taking the path. But when we see this, a lot of times we end up hating ourselves for it even more. And where it's easy to fall into a cycle of hatred upon hatred upon hatred. And we know we're not on the path. If we can see that the hatred we're holding on to is just a way for us to continue to be, it's a way for us to continue our attachments, to continue concretizing ourselves, to continue in our fixations. It's our need to grab and hold on to things. That's part of the attachment. We can see that that's counterintuitive to the endurance that we need. Enduring on the path is continuing to see what's not the path. So we see that we're in hatred. We hate the path. We hate ourselves. We hate everything. We hate life. We hate God. We hate hatred. And we can't get out of that sometimes. That comes from our need to be something, our need to be someone. And this is a very difficult place for the identity. Just the fact, just the idea, just to propose that it's possible that I'm no one, that I could be nothing, is very threatening. It's basically giving up our need to survive, the survival instinct. And this is a very tender area. This is a very pervasive, very sticky place to be. We get stuck here because nobody wants to face the idea that maybe they won't survive. Maybe if they continue on the path, they're going to experience more emptiness and nothingness, and then they're going to disappear. And it feels like too much for too little. We don't know if we're going to come out of that emptiness. If we disappear, what's going to happen to us? We think we're going to be gone forever. That's possible. I don't know. You have to find out for yourself. But I'm saying we have to endure on the path to find out for ourselves if that's the case. So there's a lot of hatred towards the path when we don't get results. But we have to continue to endure. The ego and his hatred if we look at it carefully and continue to look at it, we can see the ego is just trying to compensate. The ego is the compensation mechanism, basically. Again, it's trying to grab and hold on to something for a foundation. It'll hold on to its hatred because that gives it a sense of identity, a sense of purpose, a sense of I can survive, a sense of I'll be alive, a sense of the need to be something and need to be someone. That's what that provides for us on an unconscious level. We have to see these kind of things. There's a lot of unconscious work that we have to continue to do, and we have to continue to endure on the path, even though we don't think it's doing any good. And the ego's trying to escape this, and that's why it's holding on so tightly. And you can see the intensity with which we try to hold on and try to resist the path is basically our way of trying to escape the path, trying to escape the disappearance, trying to escape the emptiness. But it doesn't work. And we're overcompensating. That attachment, the intensity of our attachment is the same intensity with which we need to do the work to be able to let go of that intensity. Now, that intensity is not, we're not just going to let go of that, overnight. This is a long-term, it's a long run, a game of the long run. So we have to understand that it's not overnight. It's a process, and we don't have any control over that process. That's part of the issue. Now, when we see that, the ego and its compulsions and the intensity increases, it gets worse a lot of times before it gets better. Our habits, our compulsions are going to flare up. The ego is going to come out. The closer we get, the more intense the attachments and the fixations become. That's normal. That's natural. We have to understand that that's part of the process, and don't judge ourselves for it. Be patient. We have to endure whatever consequences come our way. Take a break if we need to, because it's not easy. It's okay to take a break. We don't have to judge ourselves for it. We can pick up where we left off the next time we get in a situation where it reminds us of where we left off. So we grow and we develop. The path sometimes will, instead of you chasing the path might end up chasing you. You might see that. That's the way that I feel about it sometimes. The path it follows me around. I can't escape it. I don't want to escape it really, but in the long run, if we endure, things will happen to us. We'll find out for ourselves the truth, and that's what this path is about. That's the beauty of it. Just continue to endure, when we feel the threat of the emptiness and the disappearing, we feel naked, we feel exposed, we feel vulnerable, we feel helplessness, feel worthlessness. All these feelings, these deficiencies, they're a deep part of ourselves that we have to feel in our entirety. This is normal. And I'm here to say that it's not something to be avoided. It's something that we can embrace. That's kind of the way. That's kind of the path. That's the method. The path to the soul, if we endure, we will face these types of feelings. But what needs to end up happening, though, is it's really easy. Like we make it difficult because of those intensities. So if we stop trying and then stop trying to try, that is where we need to be. It's not easy to do that. In theory, it is, but in practice, it's difficult. But that's the path. That's the way on the path to the soul. We can touch the extremes of our humanity and our divinity, the full range of who and what we are, the truth. So we don't have to identify with those self-attacks when we feel the emptiness and the deficient feelings and the worthlessness. We just continue to endure on the path. John Dominique, the Soul Proponent.